again. My name is Gabe Zolna. One of my friends from Northern California, the principal of Big Valley Metal Detectors, sent me a rather interesting article in the Sacramento Bee. I'm going to attach the link. You definitely want to take a look at it. Now, this was put up on April the 4th, 2018. Chinese crime syndicates alleged pot grows lead to seizure of 100 homes in Sacramento area by Sam Stanton and Dale Kasler, K-A-S-L-E-R. In the largest operation of its kind, a federal agent's sweep across the Sacramento region Tuesday and Wednesday, targeting about 75 homes serving as suspected marijuana growing sites that authorities say are operated by a Chinese organized crime syndicate. So here's the question. The pot that's being sold throughout California, who's it grown by? And how come it's okay for them to grow it in large quantities? Well, you know why? Because they get the tax revenue from it. From these Chinese pot farms in these homes, they weren't getting the tax revenue from it. They don't care that marijuana is being grown and distributed. They just care that they're not getting the revenue. The raids, which involved more than 500 federal, state, and local agents, hit homes from Elk Grove to Sacramento to rural areas and are aimed at forcing the forfeiture of about 100 homes to the federal government. Federal government? An effort valued at hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate and marijuana. This represents one of the largest residential forfeiture efforts in the nation's history, the U.S. Justice Department said. The investigation began in 2014 as authorities began to see an uptick in marijuana growing operations concealed in residential neighborhoods throughout Sacramento area, and escalated in the past year as agents used utility bills and sophisticated financial analysis to track millions of dollars coming from China into the United States for the purchase of the homes. The buyers, typically Chinese citizens in the country legally, are suspected of turning the homes into pot-growing operations that then shipped the marijuana through trucks, mail, and couriers to the eastern seaboard for sale, authorities said. Again, a mistake they made is they should have offered, a cut, tax revenue. This week's raid resulted in the seizure of more than 61,050 marijuana plants, 200 kilos of processed marijuana valued at up to $100 million, and about $100,000 in cash, as well as 15 firearms, officials said. Those numbers are expected to grow as the final tallies are calculated. The bulk of the raids took place this week, although a couple of dozen had been searched in prior weeks, including one in the 9,900 block of Pinella Way in a quiet subdivision in Elk Grove about 2 months ago. You want to read the rest of the article. It's somewhat interesting. And again, what it really comes down to, I think, is simply tax revenue. I mean, somebody's growing all this pot that is being distributed in all these marijuana outlets all across California and the other, 7 states that have legalized it. The mistake these Chinese guys and gals made was they weren't cutting into government. It's like bootleggers. You can go buy a bottle of scotch or a bottle of tequila or a bottle of whiskey. Most of it's tax revenue. If a bootlegger sells his whiskey or his whatever they call that stuff, they're not making the revenue. That's all they care about. That's all they've ever cared about is the revenue. That's sort of what I think. We'll see how this thing unfolds. Thanks for listening.